Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. We are back after a 1-week hiatus. Yes, we did do our Saturday show, but we did not do No Punt Intended last week due to it being the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Joining me, as always, Joshua Hudson and Ryan Weiss, and new to the show, first-time guest, the one, the only, Scott Simpson, Nimble with Numbers. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Joe, thank you for the invite. I'm really excited. Going back and forth about when I could get in, I think Joshua reached out like a month ago and was like, hey, can you get in? And I had to square it away with the wife, but you know what? She's upstairs. The door is locked. Hopefully no one comes down and bothers me. I'm in until we're done. I'm ready.
Shout out to Mrs. Simpson for helping us out there.
Yes.
She's a great woman. And I said, I'm podcasting. Remember? She goes, how can I forget? So
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Absolutely love it. And then our number one fan, stepmom Lauren, already in here. Hi, Lauren. Hello. Thank you for joining, as always. And then, of course, the guy that keeps the show running, Sean. How are you, Sean? Scott, this is Sean. He is our number one fan. Just so you know, Sean keeps the show running over there on YouTube. But all right, guys. This is how we're going to do it. Of course, it's a 3-up, 3-down. We're going to get to the quick news and notes. We'll probably do a quick recap of that monstrosity of a game that would just ended 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, it should be a quick recap.
What an awful game. But 3-up, 3-down, of course.
That happens when they're all backups, right?
I mean, I guess at that point, but Pittsburgh didn't have backups, and they looked terrible. So upside, downside, and then, of course, Ryan's Stream of the Week, and my Blurred Lines, which sadly had the first loss in 6 weeks. It's tough. But hey, I'll take 5-1 the last 6 weeks of betting. I will happily take that. But quickly, because I'm sure most of us at least caught at least some of the game, how do we feel about that showing that just happened about 20 minutes ago between the Ravens and the Steelers? Anyone jump in at any point? Scott, you are aggressively nodding in disappointment.
Yeah, my daughter was watching London with me for a little bit, and she just said, this is not good. Who are these players? And I said, well, COVID kind of took out the Ravens defensive line and their quarterback and their offense. And she said, yeah, this game sucks. And then she left. So that was pretty much, I couldn't say it better. I couldn't disagree. She goes, why are you watching this?
Love it.
I love football. That's why I'm watching it. I watch any NFL action. I watch XFL. I mean, come on, it's football.
Yeah, and I mean, I do want to say I had been saying that Trace McSorley should play over Robert Griffin III. I'm not going to say Trace McSorley looked better, but he did throw a touchdown pass, and everyone needs to shut up about Hollywood Brown.
Brown relevant.
As I was about to say, everyone needs to shut up about Hollywood Brown. No one. I don't want to hear a single person say his name and that he's fantasy relevant anymore. No, don't say it. Yeah, I don't want to hear any of it.
That was pure luck.
It was funny because
pure luck.
Because I believe Troy King put out a tweet saying, what's going to happen when Robert Griffin III throws a deep ball to Marquise Brown for a touchdown and everyone freaks out? He got one of the two players correct. Yeah. Instead of RG3 with Trace McSorley, but RG3's done. He did not look good. I'm going to continue to say this. Pittsburgh is not an 11-0 team. They are not an undefeated team.
No, they're a 12-0 team.
No, they're 11-0.
They are 11-0, Ryan.
I know.
It's like they should not be undefeated. Plain and simple. That team, when they face a solid team that is at full strength, they're not going to win a football game.
Completely disagree.
Their
offensive line is going to be fine. They'll have James Conner back. Their defense is better than you're giving them credit for because you don't give defenses credit anymore for some reason. I don't see them losing a game.
Secondary's trash outside of Micah Fitzpatrick. Their front
get pressure on the quarterback. Doesn't matter how bad your secondary is.
Okay, let's see when they play the Chiefs. They're going to get spanked. let's just throw that out. They're going to get absolutely spanked when they play Kansas City. Ben Roethlisberger, he can't outduel anybody anymore. This team almost lost to the Cowboys with an AAF quarterback. I'm just going to leave it there.
The Chiefs lost to the Raiders.
Right?
Division. That is a completely different thing.
So who's going to beat them?
Scott.
Who's going to beat them? Washington, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indy, or Cleveland?
The rest of the season? That's their regular season schedule?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would only put the Bills up in that conversation. I have no faith
The
in Josh
one
Allen.
advantage is it's in Buffalo. That's the one thing you have going for
But
you.
is that really an advantage though? Like, there's no fans, and the weather is similar to what you see in Pittsburgh.
So
Also fair.
I'm gonna
sleep in your own bed, maybe, right? That's the. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll spoil my Blurred Lines pick quickly. Josh, who's better, Arizona or the Rams?
I mean, the Rams have a better defense. I mean, right now, the Rams' offense, Jared Goff does not look good. Kyler Murray's banged up. He's not running. He only has 10 carries over the last 2 weeks. You take his running ability out of the equation, that's a pedestrian offense.
Okay.
I mean,
The Rams are currently favored by 3 on the road.
Interesting.
That should not happen.
yeah.
That means on a neutral site, LA is favored.
Like I said,
by
it's
6.
right now. The Rams defense is one of the top defenses in the league. They're
but-
showing up every week.
But Jared Goff needs one of those sticks with the white dots at the end to actually see where his receivers are. Like, the dude, it was miserable watching him try and play football last week.
Oh my god, that was great.
Like, oh my god. And we even said it last Saturday. Jared Goff has a great fantasy playoff schedule.
Yeah.
Now I don't
That
want
may not
any
matter anymore.
I don't want any part of that anymore. That's gross what he just did.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible. But all right, here we go. Into the 3 up, 3 down. Scott, speaking of that Rams game, Deebo Samuel showing up for 11 catches, 133. You also have Desean Watson with Will Fuller, a combined 68 fantasy points. R.I.P. to Will
to his
Fuller
season.
and his 2020 season.
Saw someone call him Pill Fuller.
Love it. Who is it? Will Fuller and Bradley Roby, who was like the only shining star of that
and their
defense.
strength and conditioning coach is Brian Cushing. Go figure.
Oh
Love
my
it. Love it.
guys, steroids take steroids. You know what I mean? Things like, listen, where's my steroids? They're like, wait, we're taking steroids. We'll be back.
Love it. And then you also have Nick Chubb saying he gives you a chubby. And
Yeah, I mean,
well,
yeah, he's crushing it.
Dude,
who
yeah.
doesn't at this point, right?
What is he averaging? 6.25 yards per carry?
Yeah,
Something
and-
gross.
NFL record is 6.38.
I was gonna say
I'm-
whatever he wants.
Yeah, I'm very convinced that he's going to break that record, and not only break it, but smash it.
Who has that record?
Jamal Charles.
Yeah, I figured.
I
Jamal
think
Charles
by-
retired with a 5.3 career.
Yeah.
It was absurd. I think by the end of Chubb's career, barring injuries, you could be saying he's better than Jamal Charles on the ground, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he and Derrick Henry, as far as running backs, seem to be the top of the line right now. I mean, you have Cook and Zeke, but Cook proved again this week he's an injury away from being non-relevant. So,
But isn't every running back that, though?
yeah,
I mean, every
Yeah.
player, really.
it just seems to happen to Cook more often around
Oh,
the
yeah,
same time
just-
every year.
he just runs so, like, he has zero care at all. Like, he's
Yeah.
just, I'm going, and what happens, and it happens more than we like to admit. So.
He's a bowling ball.
Well,
Yeah.
Kubiak came out today and said that he's banged up and he's suffering. You don't say that. That's not
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, obviously, but still, like, shh. Come on.
Love it. Love it. Ryan, your 3 ups are Tyreek effing Hill. 1, 2, 3.
I thought for certain by the end of that first quarter he was going to smash the
Yep.
single game record in receiving yards.
Yeah, what
And they
Calvin
just stopped
Johnson
throwing.
had it at 331, I think was the record.
It was not Calvin Johnson. It's an old timey dude for like the Broncos. They said it during the game, but it's 363, I think it was.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I thought it was
yeah.
less than that.
Jeez,
I thought so too. I thought it was because I think I had my numbers inverted because I told my wife 336. I think it was 363, and I can't think of the guy's name right now.
Regardless, Tony Romo was joking about it. Tyreek Hill was on pace for 1,000 yards in that game.
Yeah,
He had 250 at the end of the first quarter. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. Josh, your top 3. Austin Eckler, 16 targets in his return. That's big time. Keenan Allen took a big hit because of that. Still had a good week, but Keenan Allen took a big hit. You also have Jarvis Landry.
Nice call, Joe.
That was a shot in the dark. You can ask my dad. I was sitting next to him like, Dad, I don't know. Jarvis Landry's a dart
Throw
throw.
a dart. It works.
Dart throw, and he was wide receiver 3 or something. And then Robert Tonyan, you say it's time to start believing in Tonyan as a valuable third option in that offense. Myself,
Viable, not valuable. Viable.
Oh, viable. Sorry.
Valuable as well.
Myself, Alan Lazard, once again another startable week with double-digit points. David Montgomery, reminder, he is good. His offensive line is not. That's just your reminder. He's not going to do that again. Maybe against Detroit.
I was going to say,
I got him as a play this week.
Yeah,
he statted out as my RB1 in my initial rankings. So
maybe against Detroit.
Redo that, Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be RB1, but he'll
Detroit
be
is
RB1.
bad.
Detroit's terrible. And then my third up, James White. It's almost like someone's been banging the drum to utilize him all season. It's almost like all it took was Rex Burkhead to get injured for this guy to be utilized. Come on, Josh McDaniels. Throw him in there more. All right, 3 down. Here's the fun part, because now we just get to rip on people. Scott, I'll let you choose one of these guys to rip on, but you say Russell Wilson is not cooking anymore. Alvin Kamara, you say Taysom Hill's killing his PPR value, and Tyler Lockett, after that 56-point performance against the Arizona Cardinals, he only has 53.9 total points in the last 5 weeks. Who you want to rag on a little bit out of those 3?
I mean, listen, they're all like all pro players, so it's more of what we expect from them, not that they're just crappy. And honestly, behind all of this is the game script and the coaching and the decisions. They're like Tyler Lockett hasn't played terribly. He also hasn't been targeted as much. DK Metcalf has played out of his mind. So in that situation, you're not necessarily shitting on Tyler Lockett. But I would say overall, Russell Wilson has not played well. I think from the first 7 weeks of the season, he was on fire. He was the MVP. We were all just going like, this guy is it. He's cooking. And his stats have just plummeted, not just in fantasy, but in the NFL in real life too. Like he's just not as accurate. He doesn't have as many deep balls. He doesn't have as many touchdowns. So not that he's going to do that all season, but he was on a historic pace. They compared him to Peyton Manning. One point they had the graphic up there on Sunday Night Football, and they were just like, this is historic. Well, he's just been run-of-the-mill average, Russ, lately, and it's impacted that team. They've been up and down. They've had some crappy opponents, but, I mean, they should have crushed the Eagles. They should have scored 33, 34, 38 against them. I don't understand what they're doing scoring 23. So, overall, Russ needs to pick it up, and I have him in my big money league, and so this is personal, Russ. Don't lead me to the playoffs and then shit on me at the end, man. Come on, I need a championship.
And he did this same thing last year because in my league of record, he was my quarterback last year. And I remember distinctly, I was riding high after 7 or 8 weeks. And then all of a sudden, where the hell was the quarterback play? So I'm just hoping he can flip that roller coaster to go the other way.
Yeah. All right. Josh is stepping out for 1 second, but we'll get to his later. Ryan, your 3 downs. Kyler Murray, Darius Slayton, and the NFL letting that Denver game happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you want to rag on the NFL?
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Other 2 guys?
I don't understand what goes into when they are, and I understand everyone's been bitching about this, but what goes into when they are postponing games and what they are not postponing games. And I understand it was Denver's fault, but at some point you have to think of your product. That quarterback went 1 for 9. He completed more balls to the Saints than he did to his own team. Negative fantasy points. They literally set football back. The running backs look good, but that was out of sheer volume. But then my favorite thing was I'm a notorious Taysom Hill hater. The whole game had 10 completions out of 25 friggin' targets, 3 interceptions, and no touchdowns. It was an awful football game for what we've grown accustomed to. And it's not like the Saints played all of that great defense. It's just Denver couldn't do anything. And Denver's defense was just holding on for dear life. So shame on the NFL. At some point you have to be like, look, and it goes back to my idea. I've been bitching about this all week is they should have did a bye week after every 4 weeks. And when crazy stuff like this popped up, they could have just slid games into that bye week and one team gets stuck playing when other teams don't. And it is what it is. I'm just hoping now, because we're seeing it get so much worse. This week was hell when it comes to COVID. I'm hoping this doesn't affect the fantasy playoffs as selfishly as I can possibly be. Obviously, player health is first and foremost, but the fantasy playoffs are right around the corner, and I can't lose Jonathan Taylor on Saturday before the friggin' game starts. So.
Right.
Just for the record, 10 completions out of 25 attempts, 0 touchdowns, and like 2 interceptions. That's a
3
normal
interceptions.
3 interceptions. That's a normal Cam Newton stat line. So why don't they cancel every Patriots game? Is my real question.
Well, that was both quarterbacks, Joe. The
Weird.
other quarterback in those games usually do okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. You're right. Yeah, Cam Newton's just bad. Okay. Josh, now that you're back, Kareem Hunt, Derek Carr, and Teddy Two Gloves. My guess is you're going to want to take it out on Bridgewater because of his abysmal accuracy.
God, it was terrible. I mean, thankfully, DJ Moore is because that injury looked a lot worse.
It looked awful.
That looked like a potential Achilles, and that would have put him out for quite a while, even heading into next year.
Yeah, at least.
But it looks like that it's just an ankle sprain kind of thing. So maybe he misses a week and should be back. But yeah, Bridgewater looked abysmal last week. And I know he got a little bit banged up in the game as well as heading into the game. He was banged up, but like PJ Walker looked better. I know he had not as great stats the week before, but he was actually getting these wide receivers in a position to make plays. And as a quarterback, that's what you need to do.
Can we just say he actually targeted DJ Moore? So
well,
I'd
that
rather
too.
PJ Walker in the lineup.
Yeah, downfield too. Downfield.
I know. I'm like, I want PJ Walker in there now. Don't
Bridgewater's
start Teddy.
deep ball accuracy just is not there. And when you have speed threats all over the field, like Anderson's a deep threat, DJ Moore can run those deep routes, Curtis Samuel can run those deep routes. You've got to be able to connect with them downfield. And if you can't do that, you're holding that offense back. And that's exactly what Bridgewater's doing.
Yeah, I'll have the gripe with Teddy there on that the missed touchdown pass. I had DJ Moore over 61.5 receiving yards. He ended with 61. So I was ready to jump out the window. Cause I didn't see that missed touchdown happen live. Like I saw it on replay on Red Zone channel, and I saw that butt naked. There wasn't a single living soul near him. Oh, it was painful to watch that. All right. My 3 downs. Cam Newton. We're done, right? We're done. Because you, too, and Kira.
Over the last 4 weeks, he's a top 15 quarterback in fantasy. I'm just throwing that out there.
We're done, right? We're done. We're done. We're done. Tyreek Hill in 1 game scored more points than Cam Newton has this entire fucking season. Okay? We're done. This is over. This is done. Okay? You, two, and Kira have been 0-3 choosing Cam Newton as an upside.
Yeah, the one.
Go away. I don't want you on the show anymore. Morons. I keep telling you. God. Speaking of that game, the refs in the Cardinals-Patriots game. Can we not hit?
Oh, that Simmons hit was diesel. That was a perfect hit. I love that hit.
That was a beautiful hit.
Incredible. Right here. Right here. He hit him right here with his chest.
But Scott, here's the thing. I think that was a makeup call for the terrible blindside block call on Gunnar Olszewski's punt return, because that was terrible.
Yeah.
And look, the rest of the game, too, there was missed calls everywhere, like calls that shouldn't have been made. But yeah, those 2 calls stand out. I saw it in real time. That was a beautiful hit from Isaiah Simmons, shoulder to shoulder.
Incredible.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. He knocked Cam Newton on his ass.
Yeah. I jumped off the couch. I'm a fat guy. I got one of those a game. You know what I mean? I was like, So, I mean, gosh, it got me. I wanted to go hit somebody outside after that. I mean, just
great hit. Great hit. But then my biggest down, and I think all of us can rejoice in this.
Terrible.
Anthony Lynn.
What the hell were those play calls?
Did you see his post-game conference where they asked him why he didn't call a timeout after Austin Eckler was tackled in bounds? Did you see his answer?
No, I didn't.
This is quote Anthony Lynn. I'm not sure. Quote Anthony Lynn. That was his answer. I'm not sure. How do you not fire him on the spot?
Yeah, I texted you guys at that moment. I was like, he has to go tomorrow.
Here we go. I got it for us.
Let's see. Pulling it up. We got it. YouTube, don't take this down.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I'm not.
Oh, the audio's down. Come on, Scott. The production value's high here.
Sure.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I screen recorded it off of NFL, off the TV.
Wow.
I went on and recorded because it was crazy that he was.
It was awful.
He said, "I'm not sure." I said, "What? You're not sure? I play Madden better than you coach real football. Gosh!"
And that QB sneak where everybody's lining up to pass block, and I'm like, what?
But hold on, it wasn't even that. It was the run call after the Hail Mary attempt that really was like, what? And there was no sense of urgency after Troymaine Pope was tackled.
Well,
None.
even in I think it was going into the second half, there was this whole moment where they lined up like they were going to run hurry up, took a look at everything and killed like 8 seconds of clock and then called a timeout. And I don't even remember who the announcer was, but the announcer was just so down on what happened there. My wife goes, God, who are they shitting on? And I was like, yeah, that would be the Chargers head coach.
Oh my God. Wow. Chargers are bad. Like I know why Anthony Lynn's still there. He's a player's coach. Players love him. He's not a good head coach. He's a great coordinator, someone to keep on the team, to keep team spirit up. But, oh, geez. Okay, well, it looks like Bo's here in the chat. And before we dive into our upsides here, Scott, it looks like you are contractually obligated to mention the results of your head-to-head with Bo. I don't know what the contract is. I haven't seen it. But I'm just going to assume the contract exists.
Yeah, it doesn't. But you know what? I can't get away from that. So here's what's happened between me and Bo this year. I hired Bo as a writer over at nimblewnumbers.com, and he has just been on it. He's been on it the whole time. He's been crushing it. He does great picks, and I've been going head-to-head with him every week. So the first week he came on the DFS Money Shot, went head-to-head with him. He beat me, took me down. And then ever since then, I was just beating him every week. And it was behind closed doors. No one was really saying anything. Then we decided to bring it out in the open. And then we went big one week, and I lost. And so I bought him new AirPods. And because his has been eaten by the dog. And so I got him some new AirPods on a bet. And then I lost another week. And I was like, okay, let's write this up for Joe Bond over at the Fantasy Six Pack. So we started writing it up. And in those contests, I'm 1-3, which is not good. And I finally beat him on Thanksgiving. I crushed him on Thanksgiving. And then he came back and Tyreek killed me and curbed me with Tyreek Hill last week. And I think the score was like 187,000 to 12, something like that. I don't know. But he beat me by at least 50. So, yeah, it was.
He beat you by a full Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he could have taken Tyreek Hill out and still probably would have beat me in that matchup, which but it's okay. That's why I pay him the big bucks. I'm the face and the good looks and the the charisma. He's the brains. We got to have a good work of the teammates. So I'm gonna take him down this week though. I'm not scared. I'll come back at him. Ask Bo how much money he's won this year in DFS compared to me, and I think it's like I've won thousands more. So I'm okay with it.
I love that. And I guess I'm the pretty face of the group, and these guys just do the work. So
We'll let you believe that, Joe.
I mean, let's just. I'm the pretty face, and I do the work. If we want to add both of them in, that's fine.
I'm the pretty mustache of the group.
Yeah.
Yo, your tree looks bomb, dude. I love it.
Thank you. Been up since November 2nd.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All about it. All right. Let's actually get to some of these questions because I think there were a couple that have come in, and I do want to put this up here from ISO Uziver because he is out there. Lost by 3. Deontay Johnson blew it.
Hurts my soul.
There was an easy slant pattern he could have caught for a touchdown that he dropped. So that's all right. I played against Tyreek Hill and Derrick Henry. Join the club, dude. I dropped 150 and still lost. Life sucks.
Yeah, after a week like this, you just got to hope it didn't kill your playoff hopes and set your lineup for week 13.
I mean, the upside was he still had 13 targets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, at a certain point, like it'll start connecting. I mean, they're feeding him the football. I know he's had some issues with drops this year. That I don't think that's really anything new with him, but I think the cold also had something to do with it too. Those footballs aren't soft, even in warm weather, and they get only harder in cold weather. So, yeah.
As someone who's tried to catch a smaller ball in colder weather, playing when I was younger, it is not easy to catch a cold football, especially when your fingers don't work It's a huge key that your fingers just don't want to work catching the football. All right, the weekly question from Michael: Big Ben or Lamar Jackson? The Steelers play the football team on Monday, correct? They have the Monday early game, and the Ravens have the Tuesday game against the Cowboys.
Dallas.
Who are we
I mean, if
taking?
Lamar plays, I think you're playing him against Dallas.
My first projections today, Lamar is my QB1. Lamar.
Scott?
Yeah, it's a full sweep on Lamar. Dallas just is a sieve. You know, how can you not? They've given up 24 touchdowns to the quarterback so far. I mean, goodness gracious.
Gave up 3 touchdowns to Antonio Gibson on the ground last week. You got to imagine Lamar steals one of them.
Yeah.
Got to imagine at that point. All right. Sean, Josh Allen at San Francisco, which is actually in Glendale, Arizona.
Yes.
Because they cannot play in San Francisco. But regardless, still traveling to the West Coast on Monday Night Football. Or Justin Herbert, who is in his home at the new SoFi Stadium against the New England Patriots, says he's leaning Josh Allen this week. Ryan, I'll start with you.
I am looking at my projections because I honestly have no idea. I don't think I like Allen this week. No, Allen is outside of my top 20. I think he has a rough week. I would go Herbert.
Josh?
I don't know that I would have Allen outside the top 20, but I will say that he is struggling when John Brown is not in the lineup. He's putting up less than 20 fantasy points per game without John Brown. So San Francisco they've gotten healthy, and they looked good last week against the Rams. Obviously, their offense is still terrible, but their defense played with some heart last week, and they're going to challenge them. Young quarterbacks, Bill Belichick, I feel like that's advantage Belichick. I think I would still lean Herbert. It's in the warm weather, SoCal. Yeah, I mean, Herbert, he's still going to throw the football. We know that. Yeah, I would lean Herbert.
Okay. Scott?
You know, I'm going to be contrarian, and just because I do think that San Francisco does put up a formidable front, but the last 4 weeks they've actually ranked 29th against the quarterback. And so if you're looking at the last 4 weeks, which is kind of how you're playing now, they ranked 29th, giving up 23.1 fantasy points. They've given up 9 touchdowns, and then if you scroll down to New England, they're a little bit better. They've given up 21.4 points a game and 7 touchdowns. So, but those are both teams that were in the top half of the first top 10 all year.
Yeah.
They've been got kicked out of that section now. So if you sort it, I have a tool that I use. I sort by the whole season. They're still looking pretty good in the metrics, but the last 4 weeks they've both given up points. So I'm not going to be afraid to start Josh Allen. I think he scrambles for a little bit more this week. I think he gets back on the good foot and rushes for a touchdown. So Herbert, I think I like him, but it's Anthony Lynn, man, the guy that has me concerned, really, honestly, about the situation.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's definitely fair.
That is what has got me kind of spooked. I called Herbert last week as my best play in DFS at the quarterback position because I thought they were going to be trailing and that Anthony Lynn would use him and his receivers. He did not. He did not know how to use him. It was terrible to watch. It made me disheartened that I would project that guy to be the best quarterback. He finished like 7th or something. It wasn't like he was, Cam Newton shitty. But I can't attach a projection to a quarterback when their coach is so inept. He's like the new Bill O'Brien. And I got to get through that. He's got to get through that. And Herbert, maybe he shines, but you know what? Cam's been pretty shitty too. So this game could be a slugfest of kind of not a shootout is what you need for that blow up factor. So I'm going to go with Josh Allen this week.
Josh Allen. No doubt in my opinion. Yes, the East to West I'm never a fan of that. But these two teams haven't played each other. Actually, all of these teams haven't never mind, no, not the Patriots and the Chargers. They're in the same conference. The Bills and the 49ers haven't seen each other in 4 years. Josh Allen entered the league in 2018. So none of them have played against Josh Allen in a 49ers uniform. So my point being is Kyle Shanahan's not the defensive genius that Bill Belichick is to stop a guy who they haven't seen before, like Belichick did with Kyler Murray. Kyle Shanahan looks at his play sheet like it's a Burger King menu and just says, Robert Saleh, you do you, buddy. He has to play, and yes, they've planned for Kyler Murray before. Josh Allen's a whole different animal Josh Allen's 6'6", Kyler Murray's 5'9". It's a bit of a difference. Josh Allen can throw the football 70 yards, flicking his wrist. Kyler can do the same thing, but again, two way different quarterbacks to game plan for. They haven't seen these guys in a long time, and even when the last time they did see them, there's only two players on San Francisco's defense that were there the last time they played Buffalo. Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward.
It's just a shame they don't record the game, so you just can't go back and watch them and see.
Sure. So you would think, right, that the Bills would have stopped Russell Wilson in Seattle from having a decent offensive day through the air.
We're putting Josh Allen in the same candidate as a thrower as Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, who hit him for 4 touchdowns.
So that's weird. We had Josh Allen as an MVP earlier this year, right? Because
that's fine. Sure, are they the same player? Who's been Josh Allen's biggest comparison since he's been in the NFL? We've all made it. What did Cam Newton do against the Niners, Joe?
I can't.
Negative points. Negative fantasy points.
Listen. I don't have a trash can near me, so I can't pick one up and show you that this is what Cam Newton is. Is a paper shredder good enough? I have a paper shredder next to me.
I'm just glad I'm not the one arguing with Joe right now. This is a nice change of pace.
We're really going to sit
Josh Allen. This ain't the week. And I don't love Herbert either. I get that. But if I'm choosing between the two, I'm going to choose the thrower.
Both of them finish outside the top 15.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Neither of them are good options, but Josh Allen gives you a better rushing upside.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen doesn't have Anthony Lynn, as Scott previously mentioned. So there's that.
That is fair.
Yeah, that is very fair when you bring that up. All right, I'm going down here. Sam, hi buddy. Hello, Sam. Just want to give him a little shout out there. And we'll give McSweet a little shout out here. He won with 220 points this week. He had Tyreek Hill, Gibson, and Derrick Henry.
Congrats.
That's a good week.
Yeah.
Right? Can't complain there. All right, from our buddy Dave.
What's up, Dave?
So please don't laugh. He needs 2 running backs in a full PPR. Todd Gurley, David Johnson, and Frank Gore. Is David Johnson off IR?
Are you running a retirement home, Dave? Come on, man.
They set him to activate. They have 21 days. I just don't know if it'll be this week. With their lack of wide receivers, it almost has to be if he can play football. So.
Yeah. I mean, if David Johnson plays, I'm putting him in over Gurley at this point.
Yeah, I mean it's David
and I like
Johnson
Gore
and Gore
against the Raiders. I have no issue.
Yeah, I definitely don't hate that matchup.
Yeah, it's Johnson and Gore, and then if Johnson obviously isn't activated, you're stuck with Todd Gurley.
No, David, you know who you're playing. You're the guy, Devontae Booker. This is his week, baby.
He's my upside this week.
There you go.
Just when you put him as your upside, that's when he's going
Right?
to disappoint you.
My upsides have not gone well, so take that for what you will.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of that, before we get to more questions, we'll go through the upsides here at the least. All right. So starting with Scott here, your upsides. Baker Mayfield, that is in Tennessee, correct?
Great pick. Yes.
Jonathan Taylor, who is, remind me someone?
Just off the COVID list, playing Houston, ranked 31st in rush defense.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Devontae Parker, who is home against the Bengals?
Yes.
Thank you. Home against the Bengals. And Austin Hooper, who once again is in Tennessee with Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, you were 1-3 last week.
Ugh.
Yeah, bad week. Bad week last week. You have Kirk Cousins home against Jacksonville. That's the kiss of death, and I hate it. Frank Gore against the Las Vegas Raiders. Sterling Shepard in Seattle. And Trey Burton in Houston. Josh, you were 1-2-1 last week. You have Sam Darnold against the Raiders. Devontae Booker in New York, same game. Oh, this warms my heart. Alan Lazard against your Philadelphia
I did that just
Eagles.
for you, buddy.
Oh, love it. Can't wait. And then Tyler Eifert in Minnesota.
So what?
I was 2-1-1 last week. My one, I believe, was Jonathan Taylor because he was put on the COVID list on Saturday morning. But this week I have Mitchell Trubisky against the Lions, James White in Los Angeles against the Chargers, Deebo Samuel against Buffalo, and Mike Gesicki. And the disclaimer is as long as Ryan Fitzpatrick starts. Yeah, that's my disclaimer there. Scott, we'll start with your guys here.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, Ryan, you kind of were emphatic about Baker Mayfield. And Scott, this has been an offense where Nick Chubb seems to just be averaging 150 yards a game. Total, they're averaging almost 200 yards per game on the ground. What gives you the distinction here in this game that Baker Mayfield's probably going to have to throw the football more?
Well, I don't think that they're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry. And I think what we saw last week in the Colts game was one of the best defenses in the league get run over and get manhandled. And it is Derrick Henry season, as they say, or season, or whatever they like to banter about. And this is when he gets going. And I see this game script as being one where Cleveland has to keep up. They're going to have to keep up with the Titans, whether the Titans are throwing or they're running. They're going to be dominating the pace of play with the ball. Baker can try to hold on to the ball as much as he can in the first half and do the running plays for the whole first half. That's fine. And they'll get some first downs, and they're successful on the ground. But I think eventually in the second half, the Titans are going to pull away. And maybe it's at the end of the second quarter. Maybe it's the beginning and middle of the third quarter. They're going to pull away, and he's going to have to throw the football. He's going to have to throw the ball. And I don't think – the thing about Baker is that he's not that accurate. He's not that great. So he's going to throw the ball mid-range, and I think he's going to throw it to Austin Hooper, and I think he's also going to throw it to Jarvis Landry as well. So I think those are his most effective passes underneath in that 5 to 15 yard range. He's not going to go downfield as often. Even then, every once in a while, he's hit Peoples and Higgins and things like that. But I see this game, him coming back, and I like Kareem Hunt this week. Especially in DFS where he's priced down to 5,400. If they're trailing, Jonathan or Nick Chubb's not going to be on the field as much. You're going to have Kareem Hunt on the field a little bit more in passing down and just kind of that 2-minute spread offense where they just kind of keep going. So that's my hope for the game script to kind of lay out like that. And maybe Baker he'll just run the ball the whole time. But if they do that, I think they're going to get crushed.
Just one more thing to throw into what Scott said, because he hit all the points, is also that the Titans have given up 5 receiving touchdowns to running backs, and that's where Hunt makes his bones. If Hunt doesn't score a touchdown, it's unfortunate. He's not a great fantasy play, but I think this is going to be a week where you see him hit 1 or 2 in the air.
Yeah, Hunt's really struggled the last couple of weeks. Like I was talking back and forth actually with Kira when she was writing her DFS article, and she was like, I can't believe Hunt is priced so inexpensive. Like, this is ridiculous. And I mean, he came out and he struggled, and then we were going back and forth, and I was like, maybe DraftKings knew something we didn't. So
I put him in one of my lineups.
I had him in a couple too, yeah.
As did I.
It was a great matchup. Also, real quick, Scott, we have McSweet saying you look like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Thank you. Thank you. It's earlier this year I released a video just saying, please, I'm not Ryan Fitzpatrick. Leave me alone. Totally tongue in cheek. But I like to call myself Fats Magic, because I'm a little bit chubbier, and I did my thing this year with the 3-cone drill. I don't know if you guys saw that, but
that was hilarious.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to do one of those in the snow. Same outfit in the snow. When it snows, I gotta go out and do like an ice 3-cone drill or something. But I love the comparison because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks because he's a gunslinger and he's super intelligent. So you're like, yeah, maybe that's the best way to probability wise is to throw the football. Like, look at this guy, he's super smart. And
if anyone knows.
Yeah.
And he's throwing his body around, he's hitting people and shit. Like I've been called way worse in my life. So.
He got a 49 out of 50 on his Wonderlic. I still believe that is the highest score ever by an incoming NFL player. All right, Ryan, to one of your guys here. I don't even want to talk about the quarterback. We're not even going to cover the quarterback in your stream of the week. Spoiler alert, it's Kirk Cousins. So avoid Kirk Cousins, apparently.
You like that?
Scott, Ryan has the kiss of effing death with his quarterback streams.
Oh, no.
Daniel Jones last week.
Fade Ryan, huh?
Oh, yeah. Fade Ryan hard on the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Kirk was like my second best play of the week. I think I'm in trouble, too.
We all are.
That's basically what I wrote in my article was, if this doesn't hit, I just don't know.
I'm picking up Kirk Cousins because I took Daniel Jones last week.
Well, I went from Burrow, who I thought I was never going to have to stream again, to Daniel Jones, and now I'm like, fuck, is Kirk Cousins out there?
Yeah.
Tough.
And he is.
Absolutely
so
tough.
now I'm going to ruin him.
But not speaking of Kirk Cousins, how about the old man, Frank Gore, up against the Raiders? You like him to finish as an
the Raiders
RB2
actually
or
give up
higher.
the 4th most fantasy points to running backs right now. And Gore is the only competent, healthy running back, which is just hilarious to say. 18 carries and 3 targets last week. He's going to see that type of volume from this point for the rest of the season. And if he sees that volume against the Raiders and then finds the end zone, we're talking a back end RB1 out of a guy who literally invented the running game. So it's fun to watch. And I think he's going to eat big this week. It's one of those weeks that we've kind of been I don't want to say waiting on out of Frank Gore, but it's kind of like what we saw out of AP on Thanksgiving. I think we're going to see a game like that with Gore this week.
Yeah. What could have been with LaMichael Pirine this week? If
No.
he hadn't gotten hurt, man.
Yep.
Oh, God, it's painful.
Frank Gore's dad was a football.
That's right.
Yeah. It's tough. The young kid out of the University of Florida is injured, and the 37-year-old out of the University of Miami is not injured. I feel like that's because Frank Gore was like Frank Gore was like the end of like the elite players to come out of Miami. That was
the elite running backs anyway.
Yeah, at least. But
we were still producing tight ends long after he left.
That's true. That is true. But yes, the elite running backs, to say the least. Yes, he was kind of the last cream of the crop. But Josh,
he's just such a class act too. My favorite story. I just want to throw this in real quick. I heard this story last year that before every game, he would take Devin Singletary and introduce him to everybody he knew on the other team, which was obviously everybody, just to get Singletary acclimated to the NFL. And I just thought that was so friggin' awesome because you hear all these like horror stories about Brett Favre and guys like that, where like Frank Gore is literally begging someone to take his job. He's like, look, I just want the paycheck. Don't make me run anymore. But they won't do it. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll go out here and rumble for 65 yards and a touchdown.
Ancient Frank Gore. God, I can't wait to see him run alongside his son in a wishbone offense. Please run it. Please run the wishbone with him and his son in 3 years, 4 years. That would be amazing. Josh, staying in that same game, though, Josh Jacobs' ankle sprain last week could be limited this week, maybe even out. You like Devontae Booker?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the snap counts between these guys like slowly even out. I mean, there was 1 week where they had the exact same number of carries, and I know it had a lot to do with the game flow, but Booker's getting time as the passing down back right now. And the Jets have allowed 90 targets on the year to the running back position. Like, they're giving up points in that area.
Yeah,
last
he supplanted Jalen Richard completely.
Exactly. Booker and Jacobs combined last week for 7 targets. Again, with Jacobs being banged up, this is a game that the Raiders should easily win. And if that's the case, if Carr gets them up early, if Jacobs sneaks in a touchdown, we could be looking at Booker in garbage time, and still putting up quality RB2 numbers in that time frame. And even if it's not garbage time, he's still going to see a healthy amount of workload. So I don't mind him at all as a flex play this week, and he's got RB2 upside as a result of the matchup.
Yeah, just playing devil's advocate here. Say Josh Jacobs, he starts the game or whatever, re-aggravates that ankle, and he ends up playing, 1 or 2 snaps the rest of the way, doesn't play the rest of the game. You may see Devontae Booker slide into the Josh Jacobs role and then see Jalen Richard slide into the Devontae Booker role. So just because there was 7 targets combined last week, and I think Jacobs got 3 or 4 of them, don't expect all 7 to go to Devontae Booker. Jalen Richard is still going to see his share if Jacobs can't go or is extremely limited in the game. Richard's not going anywhere. He's still a very good receiving back.
Yeah, but at that point, then Booker becomes the goal line back.
Oh no, of course. I'm not saying shy away. Yeah,
upside, so.
I'm not saying shy away from him at all. I'm just saying don't expect Devontae Booker to have like 8 catches. That's just a little unreasonable. Yes, he is technically the receiving back or the top receiving back in the offense, but he's not going to garner all of that. John Gruden, for some godforsaken reason, loves mixing in running backs that have no need to be on the football field, like Devontae Booker. He's not supposed to be on the NFL football field. He's supposed to be the guy who fills in when Josh Jacobs is tired, but they don't use him like that. They use him way more than that. All right. Getting back to some of these questions here, and I know we had a couple up here, Josh, you talked about from Sean. This is an interesting one. So, interim head coach, Matt Patricia, finally fired along with the GM. So, the interim coach is saying they need to play faster. Says that seems like a positive statement for Deandre Swift the rest of the season. Obviously, Swift being the youngest running back in that backfield. You have him competing with him. You have him competing with Kerryon Johnson and Adrian Peterson. Obviously, Peterson is not a upbeat back at this point in his career. He is older. But when it comes to between Swift and Kerryon Johnson, obviously Swift has more skill, but just throwing this question out there, would they tend to mix in Kerryon Johnson at some points because Swift may get tired or they just want to keep their running backs in tip-top shape?
They weren't doing that before the concussion. They weren't doing that. It was the huge thing that Swift was finally the starter, and they went out and they gave him more than 50% of the total work, even compared to AP and Kerryon Johnson. So they kind of have a sandwich schedule to end the season. They have Chicago this week, not fantastic, but then they get Green Bay and Tennessee, who give up a ton of RB points. But then championship week, they have Tampa Bay. So I'm gonna plug DeAndre Swift into every one of my lineups until championship week. I'm not playing a running back against Tampa Bay. It's just not worth the risk, especially not a Detroit running back. But I think it is big things for him because I think you're going to see more passes to the running back in a quick offense with Matt Stafford, and I just don't see them. I don't see them taking Swift out as much as you might see like they were doing with Jonathan Taylor. I think they're ready to lean on Swift.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, they've been using Kerryon a lot in the passing game as well. So, I mean, we know that both these guys have passing game chops. If Bevel's smart, they start running some 21 personnel and get both those guys on the field because without Kenny Golladay, they don't have any true mismatches. But when you throw two running backs onto the field, that instantly creates mismatches because you've either got to pull a safety up or you're using two linebackers, and that limits your ability to rush the passer.
Yeah,
I would argue that Hawkinson is a bit of a mismatch these days.
Fair enough.
But I know what you mean in the wide receiver core is what you were alluding to.
Yeah.
And particularly, with Amendola out too, all the underneath work is open.
Yeah.
And that's where, running backs a lot of times will eat. So.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And from one running back to another that Sean brings up, he says Russell Wilson without Chris Carson has been playing rough, but they're 6-0 when Carson is in the lineup. And obviously Chris Carson has looked much better than Carlos Hyde. And he says he thinks in the back of his head that they're saving Chris Carson for the playoffs, which would be probably a smart move from a football perspective. But he says that's not good for fantasy football. So I guess rest of season, what's the outlook for Russell Wilson if the Seahawks decide to let Carson kind of ride the pine until the playoffs?
I mean, this offense is going to flow through the passing game, right? And you're using Carson to keep the defenses honest. And right now, when you're alternating Carson and Hyde, both of them have very similar running styles in the fact that they're going to break tackles.
Yeah.
And they're going to bludgeon defenses. That keeps the safeties potentially up and honest, and they can't double cover Lockett or DK down the field. So it's good from an offensive perspective, maybe not necessarily for fantasy purpose, because if you're taking Carson off the field, like what was so great early was he was so involved in the receiving game, right? He wasn't as involved this past week in that same role because they were alternating him and Hyde so much, and they were just utilizing it. Everything was going to DK. Like, I don't think any other player on that team had more than 5 targets. Like, it was just bonkers. Yeah. Like he absolutely embarrassed Darius Slay, and he even came out and said, "I got worked. That's on me, guys." I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. And I think really, like, that's the biggest thing is you have to be able to admit that and be like, you know what, it's time to move on. Like, I can't sit here and dwell on it because now he's got to face Devontae Adams this week. Like, if you can't just, keep that as the last game and not pull it forward, you're screwed and you're going to keep killing your team. So, but I mean, to the point, if they keep alternating, yes, it keeps Carson healthy. But as long as they're still giving Carson those high quality touches, especially in the red zone, which it seems like that's what they're doing, I think he'll still be okay for fantasy. He may not be the top 7 guy that he was, exactly, those first few weeks, but he's still going to have upside and he's still going to be playable.
Yeah. Anyone else? I feel like that summed it up fairly well.
Yeah, just expect RB2 numbers and be pleasantly surprised if he delivers in the receiving game.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to get into the pick'ems here. Pick one defense. Scott, we'll start with you. Colts or the Chicago Bears this week?
Ooh, well, I think I like the Colts, and the reason I like the Colts is I know that Desean Watson has been fire. He's been fire, but without Will Fuller, I just don't think he's going to be fire. And I think the reason is the Colts They don't have the last week giving up all those running yards to Derrick Henry. You're going to tighten the belt, and Duke Johnson or David Johnson, either of the Johnson brothers, they're not intimidating. They're not going to run over them. They can stop them. So if you can make an offense one-dimensional, I think you can kind of control the game. Trubisky, yeah, I know. But oh man, I don't know. His turnovers, he's going to do like 2 or 3 boneheaded turnovers, and that just can set your team back and really cause
100%.
Keep other teams in the game that shouldn't be in the game. And I thought it was crazy that Matt Nagy also said he was okay with one of his turnovers. That was insane. Like we talked to him at halftime. That interception was okay because Matt Nagy said he expected it. It's like, what? No way. So yeah, Chicago they were 5-1, and now what are they, 6-6?
Yeah, something like that
right now. I mean, yeah, it's not good. They're not a good team. So.
Fraud. They were a fraud when they were 5-1.
He hit it on the head, and that's something I've really been trying to take into account when I'm making any defensive picks. Is you got to look for quarterbacks that aren't going to put their own defense in bad situations, and Trubisky's going to. Expecting 2 games out like this out of Trubisky, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit later, it's still a risky thing to expect him to go out and throw 4 touchdowns or whatever. Whereas Rivers, they're going to be smarter about protecting the ball.
Yeah,
and Scott hit it perfectly. I don't know what Houston's going to be able to get done this week because the Colts can stop one wide receiver, and the Colts, what else do they have to stop? They've been great at the tight end, which is going to limit Fells and Akins. It's going to be an interesting game. It's fun. Going to be a fun one to watch. I'd go Colts.
Yeah, I think I would go the Colts too. I still have confidence that Watson can get it done. I was very high on Brandon Cooks even coming into this year, and I think now you're going to have a chance to see that firsthand. But again, like this definitely isn't the matchup to be able to do that because right now they don't have a secondary option. So unless they plan to split out, Duke Johnson in the receiving game more, if David Johnson comes back and they play both of them on the field at the same time, because you have now 2 quality receiving options, because right now your receiving core is decimated. You cut Kenny Stills. You just lost Will Fuller. Randall Cobb's on IR. Who are you dealing with now? Yep. DeAndre Carter, Isaiah Coulter, a rookie who hasn't played yet. Like
QT,
you got nothing. So
yeah, I mean for me the better matchup is the Bears. The better defense by far is the Colts.
Correct.
Not even a question. You go with the better defense in that instance, in my opinion, because the difference in matchup isn't huge. Matt Stafford is still a good quarterback, but definitely the Colts. No question there. Another one from Mixed Sweet. Let's fly through these. Matt Ryan or Ryan Fitzpatrick from the Ryan Fitzpatrick lookalike down there in the corner. Who do you like, Matt Ryan or Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Oh, well, Fitzpatrick all day. Matt Ryan, I think he scored 7.3 points in Week 11.
Not good.
Not good against New Orleans. Last time they played. And Julio is a true game-time decision. And we've seen lately, he's a true play-to-play decision. Like, he is in some plays. He is out. I love Julio Jones. He's one of my favorite players. I have him in Scott Fish. And I've got Matt Ryan in Scott Fish. And I've got Calvin Ridley in Scott Fish. And I've got 5 wins in Scott Fish. So, yeah, I was hot the first 3 weeks. I was like in the top 50, and I was just like, yeah, boys. And then ever since Julio's been injured, that's just been a downward spiral. So, yeah, Matt Ryan's a no-go for me this week. But Fitz might not play. Tua is getting into limited work today, and they're pointing towards him playing. Who knows what's going to happen? But you might have to go with Ryan. So,
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is if Tua plays, this decision's made for you.
No, it's not. You go sign somebody else. Do not play Ryan this week.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, obviously, Fitzpatrick at that point is droppable.
Yeah.
And you can find someone else on waivers. So, yeah, that's fair.
Not Kirk Cousins.
Ryan got him already. You can't get him. He's got him all week.
At this point, not Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Also, I just want to put this out there because Adam Schefter just retweeted something from Adrian Wojnarowski. Whoever the GM is for the Oklahoma City Thunder, some NFL team needs to hire that person. Because I don't know if you guys follow the NBA.
Oh my God, he's got like 20 first-round draft picks over the next 6 years. Like, it's unbelievable.
They just traded for another first-round draft pick.
Wow.
They traded. I'm sorry. Nope, I thought it was the Thunder. I'm sorry, this is the Houston Rockets. Russell Westbrook was the trade, so I got excited. Regardless, speaking of the Thunder, they have 17 first-round picks through the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Absurd. Yeah, someone needs to hire him in football because the Jets maybe need to hire him because it's ridiculous how well he's doing in terms of rebuilding. We'll see if it pays off, obviously, but
Isn't that the guy the Browns had? Sashi Brown or whatever? That's what he did, was get all the picks, and then they said, get the fuck out of here.
well,
Yeah.
they couldn't make the
At a
draft
certain
picks.
point, you
That's
have
true.
to turn those picks into something.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we really thinking OKC's going to? But anyway.
Yeah. All right, from McSweet, another one. This is a tough one. Swift or Gibson? Swift
Both.
is against the Bears, and Gibson is against the Steelers.
Both.
If I had to choose, I'm going Swift.
I don't right now. I don't even think Swift is a guarantee to play. He was only a limited participant today in practice, so who knows with the concussion protocol? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a great matchup for Gibson at all. So Swift, sure, that's the easy way. But at this point, I don't know how you can bench Gibson.
Right.
Since week 5, he's RB4.
Doesn't he
And
lead
he's like-
the league in second in TDs, right? Behind Dallas.
Yeah, he's like second or third in total touchdowns. Yeah, it's
Behind
unreal.
Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean that's crazy.
Yeah, we've seen how vulnerable Pittsburgh can be against running backs.
Gus
You
Edwards
have-
touchdown today.
You have to get inside the 10-yard line on them. That's the thing. Is if they can keep you outside of that area, they're not going to allow you. They're not going to allow the
That's
big run.
that's where Gibson scores most of his touchdowns.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, is Washington going to get there is the
Yeah,
question.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's a fair
Is Alex
question.
Smith going to be upright long enough to get them down the field?
And
Terry
that's my
McLaurin will
biggest
get him there.
worry.
It's okay.
I don't
You know I'm all about
disagree
that.
with that. If they
F1, baby.
if they plan on using Antonio Gibson the amount that they used him on Thanksgiving, he should never be benched again.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because he was the entire offense
Yeah.
in that Thanksgiving game. So I don't like the
And
matchup.
all I
against-
ask is, remember 3 weeks ago, because it was the same thing with Swift. Like, don't forget this, and that's why I agree with maybe both. So,
Yeah, if you have to pick one, Gibson, just based off sheer volume that he will most likely see. But yeah, probably try and fit both. Again, neither of them have a smash play.
yeah, it's
But
not Dallas again.
They should easily find their way into, Gibson probably the top 15, Swift maybe the bottom half of an RB2. I think that's probably where they find their way. And obviously Gibson has RB1 upside, no doubt. This, I thought I knew English, and then I tried reading this, and
Oh,
I'm
damn.
just
Why are you hurting on Lee like that?
No, I'm not hurting on Lee. He used words I don't know. Like, what is flagellate? Is that even how you pronounce it?
Yeah, he's going to whip himself with the cat.
Castigating himself. He's
Thank
upset
you.
with himself. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know English well enough, I guess. But he's talking about Ezekiel Elliott and David Montgomery. Simply put, should he trust either of them at this point?
Well, Monty for sure this week.
Yeah.
Zeke? No.
what are your- It all comes down to other options. I mean, it's hard to feel comfortable starting him, but what do you have? If you have Frank Gore, I'd plug Gore in over Zeke this week.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I would plug in over Zeke as someone who played him on Thanksgiving and watched him fumble away his 6th fumble this year.
Maybe he said when he said he was good and he had COVID and he was getting drunk down in his basement on his computer making videos that he wasn't good. Maybe that was like, maybe we should have been like, nah, man, that's the bullshit, man.
Something doesn't seem right here.
Terrible. You're hammered. You're saying you're good. You have COVID and you're hammered. Like, nah, man. No.
Love it.
No.
All right, but here's what he says. So these are his running backs: Ezekiel Elliott, Miles Sanders, James Conner, Antonio Gibson, Raheem Mostert, David Montgomery, Austin Eckler. He has
Never start
great-
Zeke again. Never start Zeke.
Yeah, with that stable, you definitely don't need.
Eckler has to be pinned to your lineup from this point.
Yep.
16 targets in his first week back.
Yeah,
I would say the same with Gibson too.
I would say, and with Gibson, if you want to get cute and go with Monty over Gibson this week, I'm with it. I don't think the other guys are, but
Go
Eckler
Miles.
has to be pinned to your lineup. So
I would go Miles, Gibson,
Yeah.
and Eckler.
Yes,
That's what I would go.
I would argue the Monty Eckler Miles, but yeah, it's either Sanders. Essentially,
For me, with Miles, if it doesn't happen this week, it's not happening.
It's never happening. It's never happening.
Yeah,
if you
I mean,
can't do it against
Montgomery
Green
has
Bay.
struggled all year. He finally came through on 11 touches for 103 yards. Like, Miles can do that in 6.
Correct.
Right. That's
And
Green Bay.
right now, the play calling with Doug Peterson is just absolutely abysmal. So, yes, I get that Miles Sanders is difficult to trust. I'm an Eagles fan. I have Miles Sanders on every freaking team. He's hard to trust. But this week, I'm trotting him out, and I'm about as confident as I can possibly be.
Yep.
And if he doesn't deliver this week, there's really nothing you can do.
Yep. He's not gonna. All right, from Steely over on Facebook. Deshaun Watson or Josh Allen this week, and Chris Carson, Antonio Gibson, Alvin Kamara. I'm going to go Miles Sanders. He needs 3 of those guys. So we'll start with the quarterbacks here. Deshaun Watson or Josh Allen. Josh, to you.
I trust Watson more. I know it's a tougher matchup, but I trust him more than Josh Allen this week.
Scott?
Yeah, I agree. I think Watson has rushing upside, and I think he has that scramble that he's going to get, maybe 60, 70 yards, get a touchdown. He doesn't have a lot of receivers to throw to, so when he does that, he's got to kind of take the game in his own hands. So I like him to kind of just be the focal point of everything. And, he might be somebody who, if you're playing DFS, you play him naked. You don't stack him with anybody. Just see what he does. So.
Mustache?
After spending a half an hour shitting on him earlier, I'd go Josh Allen.
God, don't you just love start sit questions?
Yep.
Start sit that mustache. It's past No Shave November. You love it? You're still going with it?
Oh,
He's had
had
it
it
forever.
forever.
I'm hitting a year and 3 months at this point. So.
Yeah.
So why not make it even bigger and more sexy and like out of control?
So my hair just stops growing. This is as far as it'll go. I don't trim it or anything.
So it just goes, this is me.
Yep.
I
This
love
is
it.
who I am.
This
Yeah.
is that's my soul patch here. Like I'll grow huge here, and then this is like this big.
Yeah.
Bro, nah, man.
Yeah, that's it. I've been pretty disappointed. I was trying to go full Minshew
Yeah,
instead of Manchu, and it just wasn't happening.
it's not happening. We all
No.
have different genes. We don't have any decisions in this, But
Yeah.
you look sexy. I just didn't know if you were like, I'm gonna take it off. I'm done.
No.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, my wife said, if that's not a joke, you need to go shave right now because we got some places to go. And I was like, nope, this is me now.
Yeah.
Just get some Rogaine for your face. Maybe that'll work.
It's a great fucking idea.
Rogaine just for men, All right, and then the next question here: Chris Carson, Antonio Gibson, Alvin Kamara, Miles Sanders needs 3 of them. So essentially, who are you not picking?
I bench
Ryan.
Carson.
You bench
I bench
Carson.
Carson, yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to bench Carson. I think Kamara bounces back. He's somebody who I have as he dropped $1,000 in DraftKings, pricing. I think maybe even $1,200.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean he's down at $7,000. So you're just like, well, okay, yeah, this is when he gets a couple of touchdowns. And I think that game script we talked about earlier, what a terrible, horrible game. That thing was just, you can't take that game and extrapolate really anything from it, except they shouldn't have played that game, and it was terrible. So that's it. So yeah, I like that. Carson he's not on the field enough, and he honestly, after his broken hip last year, and his knee problems the year before, that they got to keep him on ice. They really need to spell him, and so I don't see the workworkforce.
Yeah, so they don't have to bring Marshawn Lynch back for the divisional playoffs again.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Lynch.
When we were heading into week 10, one thing that I wrote about Alvin Kamara was in 6 career games against Atlanta, he'd never scored a touchdown. He finally popped in week 10. He scored the touchdown, but had no receiving totals at all. And we've seen the receiving numbers drop. The only way Kamara is going to do anything this week is if he scores a touchdown. Of these 3, I'm sitting Kamara.
I think the safer
Atlanta's run defense is better than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
Sure.
They've improved a lot this year.
I think the safer sit is Chris Carson, but if you want to go balls to the wall, I have no problem sitting Alvin Kamara. I don't have an issue.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm fully on the train of the day that you bench Alvin Kamara is the day that he goes for 35 points.
100%.
100%. But if we're going by that logic, Miles Sanders shouldn't even be considered right here because he's
Correct.
been terrible all year.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, if you're going based off pure skill and how they've looked all season, Miles Sanders is just way down the list at that point. But matchup's too good. I'm benching Kamara, but if you don't have the sack that Josh and I do, you bench Chris Carson. That's that simple. Because I'm sure you drafted Kamara in the first round, and you drafted Chris Carson in the third, second, who knows? depending on where he fell. Quickly from McSweet, do you think the Pats will sign Matt Patricia? Yes, I do, and I hate it. Next question. From Steven, would you play Brandon Ayuk this week in a full PPR? And would you pick up George Kittle and stash him? We'll start with the Ayuk question. The 49ers play in Arizona, which is their home game against the Buffalo Bills, to make that more confusing than it had to be. Josh, we'll start with you. Ayuk, yay or nay?
I love Ayuk. I actually think that as an overall receiver, he's better than Deebo Samuel. But no, not with a backup quarterback. I don't think Mullins has the ability to really spread it around. Not that I think Jimmy Garoppolo can either, but
just putting this out there. Nick Mullins is Jimmy Garoppolo with a different name. They're the same person, so it's not a backup quarterback.
Jimmy G knows and understands Shanahan's offense better. He's better at executing it, is what I'm getting at.
Sure, still can't.
Nick Mullins can sling it better than Jimmy G. He's got a better arm, but I'm not sold that they're going to be able to get 2 wide receivers involved in that offense.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ayuk a lot. I think he's shown that he can catch the ball and have positive air yards, where Deebo Samuel this year has negative 41 air yards, that's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
It's like you can't make this stuff up. I like them both. I think only one of them is going to go off, though. I think it's hard to sustain both of those. Just the amount of runs they do and the percentage of times they run the football. They pass because they're at 3rd and 6 and they can't run. And so with Jordan Reed there as well, I like Deebo better this week. Just that's my thought. But he's not terrible if you got no one else. And then the Kittle stash, no one I've seen in any league has dropped Kittle. Man, if somebody dropped Kittle in your league, I would have picked him up a long time ago and just thrown him in my IR and kept him there. Because, I mean, that's craziness.
Yeah, because you definitely don't know if he's going to come back.
I say you're probably only seeing him cut in leagues where there is no IR, but I would definitely stash him. You're getting to the point where free agency is drying up because you're going to start seeing the bottom of your league stop dropping guys. So you're not going to see as much free agents out there. You might as well go ahead and add him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a spot on your bench that someone's just taking up space, by all means, go and get Kittle. If you're a team that's in the playoffs and you're confident you're going to make it far, go ahead and stash him. No big deal there. I think Ayuk's good for a flex play. I don't see him as like a high-end receiver this week by any means, but I think he's good for a touchdown and 3 catches. That gives him 10 points, right? I feel like that kind of puts him in the conversation of at least a low-end flex play. I don't expect big things out of him, but I think he's a low-end flex play. It'll be interesting to see, both, they talked about it, Deebo and Ayuk in the lineup together, see how they kind of mesh with Nick Mullins.
Well, especially now that Ayuk has more experience. Like early in the year, Ayuk was just coming back from an injury, then Deebo gets hurt, then Ayuk kind of takes over. So now it's like, all right, they're kind of on even keel now. Both of them are healthy, they're playing. So how are they going to coexist? Because a lot of us were saying that, hey, Ayuk is basically Deebo 2.0. They have very similar skill sets.
Correct.
So it's like, how are those types of players going to coexist in the offense? We've seen it with kind of Mecole Hardman and Tyreek. Mecole's not on the field if Tyreek's on the field.
The main one does what he's supposed to do.
Correct. Exactly. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to fly through these downsides here, and I'm going to pick one person out of these that you guys are going to give me a 30-second elevator pitch on why you shouldn't play them this week. That's the rules that we're going with here because we're running up on time. Scott, you got Matt Ryan at home against the Saints, Aaron Jones at home against Philadelphia, DeAndre Hopkins, it just says versus Jalen Ramsey, so he's playing the Rams, but against Jalen Ramsey, and Hayden Hurst against the New Orleans Saints. Give me a 30-second elevator pitch on why you're sitting DeAndre Hopkins this week against Jalen Ramsey.
So the graphic I have up on the show sheet just kind of shows where he's been. And there's been games where he has gone off against him. 12 for 144 was a game he had. He had 8 for 87. But most of these games, you're looking at like 5, 4, 3, 7, 5 catches. And a lot of them are under 100 yards. And so if you don't get that touchdown from Hopkins this week, he loses a lot of value, a lot of it. And Jalen Ramsey's only given up 3 touchdowns versus him in his career, and he's played him 6 times. So you get a 50-50 chance at a touchdown. Jalen Ramsey's playing incredibly well this year. There is something, I don't know if he's got a contract year for him.
Hey, he got his contract already.
Got his contract. I don't know. He wants to go beat up,
earn it.
Somebody else. I don't know. That Golden Tate thing was crazy with the baby's mama drama.
Craziest story.
Punching him in the that's not so. But he's got a fire under him, and so I think Nuke still does okay. But he's not getting you that 25-point game, that 20, especially particularly in DFS or in lineups where you're trying to maximize value. There's other guys who just can play better, in that range. But you're not sitting Nuke, obviously. If you have Nuke, you're not going to sit him.
It's a temper expectations, hence the downside.
Yeah, he's not going to. This isn't your week where you're like, I'm getting 25 from Nuke. I'm going to touchdown. He's going to target it, 12 times. It's not going to happen. Or maybe he is targeted 12 times, but Kyler can't scramble. These plays, Jalen Ramsey is going to be sitting on them. He's going to be waiting for them. He wants this. He's driven by. He's a competitor. So
this is the week you build around him with a ton of upside.
Yeah.
I think Hopkins burns him twice on a deep ball, but I don't think there's much outside of that. I'm watch the tape, Hopkins. Ramsey's gotten beat multiple times on deep balls this year. Just putting that out there. Ryan, you were 1-3 last week. A tough week for you overall last week. But looking at Desean Watson against the Colts, Kenyon Drake against the Rams, Michael Thomas in Atlanta, and Logan Thomas in Pittsburgh. I mean, obviously the big fish out of that is Michael Thomas. He was the first-round draft pick for a lot of people. Obviously, no one expected him to get hurt, punch a teammate, then get hurt again. So why don't you like him this week, considering he did fairly well against Atlanta a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken?
He did great against them. This is just my hatred of Taysom Hill coming out. I think Taysom Hill took Atlanta by surprise 2 weeks ago. He's not a thrower. He hasn't thrown a touchdown yet. It's just, we saw last week, he involved, and I understand taking a lot out of last week is not a great idea, but he did target Thomas 6 times last week. Thomas caught 4 balls for 50 yards. Atlanta's going to know that he wants to lean on Thomas now, and they're going to make Emmanuel Sanders beat them. I think you're going to see more double coverage. I just don't see it. What's funny is we want to beat up on Atlanta for what they give up to the wide receiver. Denver only gives up 9 fewer points to the wide receiver than Atlanta does in PPR. So Thomas didn't do much against Atlanta. I know he wasn't called on to do much. Are we sure he's going to be called on to do much in this game? And I just don't trust Taysom Hill, and I never will. I understand he's the cheat code with the running, and that's fine, and he's great for fantasy that way. But I'm not going to we've already said that Hill kills Kamara's PPR value. Unless he's going to laser onto Michael Thomas the whole game and the Falcons are going to allow it, he's going to kill that value there too.
Sure. Josh, you were 3-1 last week. You have Ben Roethlisberger in home against Washington, Giovanni Bernard in Miami, Jerry Jeudy in Kansas City, and Kyle Rudolph at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, all of these guys suck. So let's throw.
I like it a lot, by the way. I mean, I watched your show once, but it wasn't enough. Joe's just in your face, have a taste, and it's like he's got no fucks to give. Which I mean, I love
none. That's why I keep him around.
But I don't care.
It's perfect,
I don't care. I will happily tell you when you're wrong, and I'll happily let you know when I'm right. I'll never let you know when I'm wrong. I'll find a way to build a wall around the truth. I'm going to find a way.
I'm the opposite. I will draw so much attention to when I'm wrong. I will make fun of myself when I'm right. And then, I was at an oral.
Yeah, those two over there, the self-proclaimed most humble people in the world. And
I will admit when I'm wrong, but I do not let go when I'm right.
Well, I was the oldest of 6 children, and so I was never right. And so my parents wanted to get out of the house and have a fucking date after all these kids, and so they made me go take CPR babysitting classes with all the teenage girls, which was awesome because it was me and like a bunch of 13, 14-year-old girls on a Saturday for a couple weeks, and a couple of pairs who were 18 who got to be my partner. And it was great. I loved it, except when my parents said, now you're in charge of the family, and they left. And then every single one of my brothers and sisters came up to me and they said, we're not listening to a single thing you're saying.
I'm the oldest of 5. I had the exact opposite. I put the fear of God in those kids.
I was like, okay, well, you know what? So my ego was shattered long ago, and it helps. Like my daughters crap on me every day, and you just gotta take it because you can't tell them they're wrong. That's just not gonna work. It doesn't. No. Ladies don't want to hear the truth. So I love when I hear another man just in your face, have a taste, get the truth. I've just learned to like kick gloves it and be friendly about it because the ladies in my life will come at me just if I don't. So
Yeah, I'm from Boston. That's in the blood at that point. But yeah, I mean, when these idiots put Cam Newton as an upside 2 straight weeks back to back, and I consistently tell them, "Hey, morons, don't put him there."
No.
Scott, I told them, they didn't listen. All right, so all these suckbags that Josh listed here, tell me, because I like Giovanni Bernard personally as a player, but
Suckbag
mustache.
yeah, it's just. Tell
and
me why.
For the most part, filling in for Joe Mixon, he's played.
He's done
well.
a good job. The
last 3 weeks, he has not. He has not scored more than 9.5 fantasy points in any of the last 3 weeks. With Brandon Allen at the quarterback position, he does not look to dump it off to running backs at all. And that's how you're going to beat the Miami defense, is dumping it off to running backs. And right now, I'm not convinced that Brandon Allen is going to do that. Miami is very middle of the road against running backs. So this is a matchup that Giovanni Bernard can exploit. But again, the last 3 games, he hasn't topped 55 total yards. So unless he finds a way to scoot into the end zone, he's not even a flex play at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a starting running back, so people are going to be like, "Oh, I gotta get this guy in my lineup." So
you'd think Brandon Allen, being as bad as he is, would just check down, take the easy way out.
Well, and that's the other side of it. Typically, backup quarterbacks, traditionally, you're looking at dump offs to running backs, easy targets to the tight end position. That's not how this offense is built.
Yeah, it's backup quarterbacks and Drew Brees do the dump off to the running backs. But Drew Brees gets all the praise for it.
That's because he can't see downfield.
That's
the only people he can see are in his periphery. And he goes, this guy looks like he's on my team.
He's like, oh, Michael Thomas isn't open after 2 steps? Oh, AK's open right here. We'll just throw to him.
Yeah. Slant boy? Nope. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Kamara, great. No one's near you because you're 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
All right, my downsides here. I was 3-0-1 last week. My tie was Todd Gurley. He did not end up playing, obviously. I have Justin Herbert. My only reasoning is rookie quarterbacks against Bill Belichick, and Anthony Lynn hasn't been fired yet. We already discussed the Anthony Lynn factor. Wayne Gallman in Seattle. Jonnu Smith at the tight end position against the Cleveland Browns. And I'll give you my reasoning for every single Eagles wide receiver against the Green Bay Packers defense. Now, Josh laughed at me when I listed them 2 weeks ago, and he was like, you have every Eagles receiver as a downside? Come on, Joe, that's ridiculous. I said, Josh, just wait and watch. There hasn't been an Eagles receiver inside of the top 36 since week 8.
Yeah, it's rough.
Travis Fulgham was the last guy to be there.
He has
disappeared
since Alshon came back. And to be fair, they had a bye week 10.
I'll say even before
week
Alshon came back, he's 3 straight games now with like less than 5 fantasy points or something.
Yeah. Dallas Goedert. I mean, Dallas Goedert is the wide receiver.
He's their offense right now.
Yes, love it. I have him.
Me too.
I have him. I love it. Woo! I love it. I'll take it. But yeah, every Eagles receiver in the last 3 weeks, they've been eligible to play because obviously Josh brought up week 9, they had a bye week. Not a single person inside the top 36. And I believe they haven't even cracked the top 40.
And let's not even get into how easy the schedule was.
Oh my God.
Cakewalk.
Giants,
they
Cleveland, Seattle. Yeah, Giants, Cleveland, Seattle.
They played
I was
Seattle.
floored that Carson Wentz was even a top 10 quarterback last week.
Yep.
I mean, I know the Hail Mary was really
I was just going to say, Hail Marys tend to
help,
do
but
that
like, he played like dog shit. And
he
he's looked
terrible.
like dog shit all year.
Well, didn't Bruce Irvin call him ass cheeks after the game?
Yeah, Carson Wentz's cheeks.
Yeah.
What? Bruce, yeah.
Ever since he got that sleeve of the tattoos, like,
Right.
Nah, bro. Nah, man. That's just nah. A whole heap and helping of nah. Your Bible studies suck. My Bible studies are so much more lit than yours, man. We get things done. We got prayers answered. I don't want to be part of your Bible study.
Oh my God,
You
that's
better-
terrible, Scott.
They better start doing some film study at that Bible study because this ain't working right now.
Defenses on there. You better pray to get a touchdown. Gosh, man, that's terrible.
Instead of watching the meaning of Christmas, you should watch the... watch anything. Literally anything football related. Anything.
He looks like he looks like when you get like your little brother back in the game. When you were back, I had some little brother action. You get little brother back as a QB. You're like, you got this. He's like, yeah, I got it. He throws a couple touchdown passes. Start. You're like, oh, he's got it. He doesn't got it. He thinks he's got it, and then he stands back there, and you can almost see his mouth open. Like, you ever have him like
looks like Brucey.
That line.
Yeah,
is
like, what are you doing?
That line is getting him killed. 46 sacks he's taken this year. That is unreal.
Shell shock. It's terrible.
15 interceptions. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. All right.
And the thing, like the one interception on Monday, I'm just like, the hell are you throwing?
Yeah, like a lot of these interceptions, yes, he's been under pressure, all this stuff, but there's a lot of these interceptions we would look at and say, what the hell what are you throwing at?
What are you seeing right now?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the interceptions are his fault. It's not, the receiver drops it, lands in the defender's hands. Oh, he's under pressure, had to chuck it up because he couldn't step into the pass. No, these are just Carson Wentz making bad decisions.
Yep.
In a lot of that, Josh, you've talked about it just stems from him knowing that he needs to make a big play because his offense isn't.
I say when he's not throwing a pick, he's fumbling it.
Correct. All right.
The Daniel Jones effect.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz equals Daniel Jones. That's tough.
Stop.
Carson Wentz equals Daniel Jones. Hey,
Well, no, Daniel Jones actually can run until he doesn't stretch his hamstring. Listen, if you're going to be known all of a sudden as the second fastest quarterback in the league, stumbling and bumbling, when you fell down that one game, after that you should have been in a hot yoga class for the next 7 weeks of stretching out your hammy and
you should have been in ballet class.
Yeah, what the hell, man? How can you pulled your hamstring running?
You're an athlete, for
right. And, listen, if you're like DK Metcalf and you're going all out, balls to the walls, I get it. You scrambled out of the pocket and fell down.
Yeah,
you hurt your leg, and then you couldn't do. Dude, come on, man. That's the whitest thing I've ever seen in my life. So white. I did it too. I did it the other day. I hurt my ankle doing it, but I'm a fat old white guy. You're a quarterback.
Daniel Jones is a young white guy. Come on.
Right. He should be doing calisthenics and stuff.
Calisthenics. Calf raises, hammy stretches. All right. Yeah. Quickly, Ryan, I don't even want to discuss your quarterback stream of the week. We're going to completely omit that.
I like it.
We don't even want to talk about it. It's good. Your tight end, Jordan Reed. Tell me why.
What's funny is I'm probably jinxing myself at tight end as well.
Correct. Yes.
The issue is right now, if for those who aren't aware, waivers aren't running, so ownership percentages, rostership percentages are all over the place. So I'm basically going on last week, so a lot of the guys are repeats from last week. So I really should pick Robert Tonyan because we know he's about to just torch the Eagles.
Yep.
So I placed him at 2 because he was last week's stream of the week already, and he is still available in around 50% of leagues. Go get Robert Tonyan.
Crazy.
That's crazy to me.
Yep. But to spice things up, we're going to go with Jordan Reed. Buffalo gives up the 4th most points to tight ends. Reed is the tight end in San Fran until Kittle gets back. He hasn't done much since returning from injury, but it doesn't take a lot to be a viable tight end in fantasy football, and he's available in 70% of leagues, Yahoo and ESPN.
It takes 3 catches and a touchdown. That's all it takes in fantasy football to be relevant.
Well, really, 3 catches, 40 yards, or just 1 for a touchdown.
Yeah.
At this point, it's unreal how much of a wasteland that is.
You may catch 1 pass for 1 yard for 1 touchdown and be tight end 6 on the week.
Yep.
That may be, it's just ridiculous.
Jordan Reed won me the $5,000 earlier this year because I put him as my second tight end.
Oh, there you go. In that first game,
the second game, first game he started. Yeah, he was min price or he was 25.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I played him, and then I played Higbee, and he caught 3 touchdowns against.
Oh, that was a great week
too.
I had 5 touchdowns.
I said the show after that. I said that Tyler Higbee would not have another touchdown this year, and he hasn't.
Yep. Tyler Higbee were dancing.
Yeah, Josh also said that the Eagles were good against tight ends and was beating that drum until about a few weeks ago. Because then he realized, they're not good against.
They've had some very good weeks against tight ends. They've also had some very atrocious weeks against.
Sure, yeah, they're just not good, Josh. Let's just chalk it up to what it is. They're not good. They're not good. Okay, and then your defense. Do we have to explain more than it's just the Raiders playing the Jets? Is there much more to it?
I'm really testing my cred here because I've been killing it on defense, and the Raiders are available in 90% of leagues on any
This is
platform.
bold. This is very bold.
Yeah. It
So
is.
here's my reasoning. I dug deep for this one. The Raiders have only had 2 good games for fantasy defense this year. One was in terrible weather, and the other was against a bad team. They might get both this week. So what could possibly go wrong? It's the perfect storm to propel a bad defense into a top 10 finish. They're going to get a bad team and possibly bad weather in New York. There's no guarantee with that, but a guy can hope. So again, a lot of this is because I'm dealing with last week's roster percentages. There wasn't a lot of great plays out there, but the Raiders statted out well in my projections, and I'm going to stick with my projections because they've done very well this year.
Vegas's pass rush, I'm not going to say it's mean, but when it's on, it is on, especially against a bad offensive line.
The Jets are allowing 3 sacks and 1 turnover per game this season. So
Max
that's what
Crosby's
you're
going to
banking
get
on.
1.5 himself.
Yep.
And then they're sending Kwiatkowski on blitzes as well, who's been a great linebacker for them the second half of this season so far.
He had a pick taken back from him last week too. So
He did, yeah. That pissed me off because I have him in fantasy football. That kind of made me really mad. But yeah, he did. All right, my kicker of the week. Go listen to Linda. Don't listen to me anymore. Listen to Linda because I am 1-6 the last 7 weeks. Just go listen to Linda. Robbie Gould. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I literally don't know anymore. I couldn't tell you. Robbie Gould. And
They're not scoring touchdowns, so they're gonna kick field goals.
Yeah, and if you have
We're bold
Young Wei
enough to,
Koo,
so.
congratulations. Like, you drafted a great kicker. But then my blurred lines pick, who F the kickers at this point, right? Blurred lines is
That's where we make money.
is
Come
where
on,
we're
now.
making the money. So last week was
Before you get into that, Joe, real quick, Scott, if you haven't gotten this far into the show before, our blurred lines pick is picking against the analytics.
that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, that's why we call it the blurred lines.
Yeah,
I like it.
mostly fuck the analytics. That's essentially
That's Joe's mantra on Club Fantasy.
Nothing wrong.
Scott.
With
Have you ever heard of the Dominator rating?
college dominator.
The college Dominator rating? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you also
Score.
Yeah. You also noticed how
These are
stupid
Joe's
it is?
favorite things.
Yeah. You also notice how dumb it is.
Yeah. I my favorite thing ever. This is what I've noticed because I'm in 45 leagues this year, and so I'm in best ball, I'm in dynasty, I'm in tournament, I'm in redraft, I'm sold
Everything.
by wild oats. You know, I'm learning from everyone. I'm getting pwned. I'm pwning. You know, it's great. But the Devi and the dynasty people, particularly, what they do is they plant their flag on somebody. You know, and years out, like I knew this guy when he was 16. He was at a North Maple. Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay, and it just clouds their vision of like what is.
So true.
And so I've just seen them be like, well, this guy had a score of 78.9%, and he's not going to blah, blah, blah. And you're like, all right, well, CeeDee Lamb is in the Dallas Cowboys offense, so I don't give a shit what metrics you're telling me. I'm not going to draft Ruggs. I'm going to draft my guy CeeDee Lamb because blah 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 blah. He has more touches. He's got more opportunity. There's more vacated targets. There's more NFL important information. And so I think when you have the dominator rating, if you got like a guy who's incredible, he's going to translate to the NFL like Saquon Barkley. Okay, that just confirms what is going to happen. But you can't use the eye test is huge. The offensive scheme is huge. The analytics can just kind of like it doesn't. It has to marry. It has to work together. You can't go one or the other. You can't be just one side of the coin. What I like with analytics is really when it comes down to opportunities, how much value you're getting per touch. That's like the most important thing for me is every touch you get is valuable. How much value do you get? Red zone, green zone, garbage time zone, all those zones. So
Garbage.
auto zone.
The eye test. That is the biggest thing missing in professional sports right now is the eye test. How is this person actually in terms of skill? The latest blunder in advanced analytics is the Tampa Bay Rays taking Blake Snell out in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
That is the biggest blunder analytics has seen this year.
Mm.
Also, the Vikings not kicking a field goal up 5 to go up 8 and letting Seattle drive down and score and win.
Yeah, that was rough.
The analytics said go for it. Football minds would say kick the fucking field goal. It makes no sense to me. But anyways, blurred lines this week. Arizona. I was shocked to see they're getting 3 points at home against the Rams. Shocked. Like, the Rams haven't been world beaters. Neither has Arizona. But also, when Arizona loses, they lose in close games. Like, it's not Arizona getting spanked. It's Arizona losing in a close game. Or it's Arizona winning in a close game. So I think if Arizona loses, they're losing by 3, and you're getting your money back. So I think worst comes to worst, you're pushing this week. So I like Arizona +3 at home against the Rams. I was shocked when Pro Football Focus only gave them a 42.8% chance to cover that. Because we're essentially saying on a neutral site, because there's no fans allowed in Arizona. I'm fairly positive there's no fans allowed in that stadium. And if there is, again, very minuscule. I think it's only 3,000 fans. You're telling me on a neutral site, the Rams are favored by 6 points? No way. No way. In any world should Jared Goff in the Rams be favored by 6 points. What? In what world? I'm sorry.
I think Jared Goff had 3 fantasy points last week.
Oh my god! And I had brought up this reasoning before with one of these games. It was the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers game. It was the Panthers were +2 on the road going to Atlanta. I said at a neutral site that means Carolina's favored by 1. So you're telling me that so it's a neutral site week 2. There's no one in the stands. It's like no one's going to be in the stands here.
It's already a neutral site.
It's already a neutral site. So it's like give me Arizona.
Yeah, but that pumped in crowd noise though, that makes a difference, Joe.
Atlanta's been pumping in crowd noise since 2008. That makes no difference.
Only on the broadcast. They don't get the
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize that.
It's
Gross.
terrible.
Yeah.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. It's
I
because
think
here's
it's
what you'll get.
stupid.
You'll get a play, and before the play happens, the crowd will go, oh, oh, oh. You know, you're like, what is some guy like DJing the crowd noise like it's a good
I love on the turnovers or when the ref makes a bad call, they plug in the booze and it's just so oh god, I hate it. Absolutely. Just let it be silent. I want to hear the players swear at each other in the trenches. I want to hear it.
Yes, I like that. Oh man, fuck that shit. Never get that shit. Like,
Well, at the end of that Arizona game, you caught. I don't know if anyone caught it. Someone screamed on the sideline, "They cost us the fucking game." About that Isaiah Simmons call. So.
good.
Well, the Patriots should have been up 4 on that drive anyway because they got screwed on that Anthony Simmons block in the back. But neither here nor there. It's all right, Arizona. Okay, one last question here. Actually, a couple questions here to finish it off from Sean. He's going to sit DeAndre Hopkins in favor of Cooper Kupp. Yeah, we're all going to aggressively nod the no on that one, Sean. You don't
I was
bench.
gonna say Kupp's one of my fades this week. Traditionally, he's done fairly well against Arizona, but when you look at what Robert Woods has done against Arizona, this is a Robert Woods week. If there's any of these receivers that are going to pop off, it's Robert Woods this week.
Yeah, Josh, you got the demon. Almost made it the whole show, but unplug, replug. ISO, last one here to finish off the show. Do we like Kareem Hunt, Deontay Johnson, or Kenny G at the flex this week in a full PPR? He says he also has Brandon Cooks at his wide receiver 2 this week, which I don't think any of us disagree that keep him in there at wide receiver 2. He also says he has Brandon Ayuk, if that matters, but I know all you guys kind of said we're going to fade Ayuk this week. So looking at the rest of these guys, Kareem Hunt, Deontay Johnson, or Kenny Galladay at flex.
You can take Galladay out. I doubt he even plays.
Yeah. So Kareem Hunt and
And
Deontay Johnson.
You don't want wide receivers against the Bears anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Detroit and the Bears, yeah.
No, they're against.
It is the Bears. It is the Bears. Yep, Detroit is playing the Bears.
Kenny G. No,
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking the Steelers. No, they play
you do not
Washington.
Don't play Kenny G if he comes back, but you play Kareem Hunt twice. He's going to eat this week.
I know Josh is going to say Deontay Johnson. So
As much as Kareem Hunt has struggled, I would lean Deontay. I mean, again, I don't hate the matchup for Kareem Hunt. he should get plenty of work. But I mean, he's had plenty of work the last couple of weeks and hasn't done much. So I'm going to take the guy that I know is going to see the football, and right now that's Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, no,
he's
100%.
second behind Devontae Adams in targets per game in the NFL right now.
I was going to say I'd start Johnson over Cooks, but I'm a hater. So,
I mean, if you're that determined to get Kareem Hunt into your lineup, then yeah, I have zero issue going Deontay Johnson over Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I think Brandon Cooks is overrated. He's tiny. He does 2 routes. It's a slant route and he runs straight.
I'm just saying the Colts only
have
have one guy to cover. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, and Xavier Rhodes hasn't looked terrible this year. He's still
he's bounced back big time this year.
And he'll have help.
Yeah, and he'll have help. No, he will have help. It's not Rhodes closed, but he's looked good. All right, that is it, Scott. Thank you for the first time on. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming on, Scott.
Appreciate you guys inviting me on and all my soliloquies I like to launch into.
I
love it.
Plug yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate you the compliments on me just absolutely crapping on these two here. Absolutely love it.
It happens sometimes. I gotta say, I like your headphones. Those
Everybody
fire, because honestly, my daughters have princess headphones too, and those are the I want to get those. Like, I want to get like the princess headphones, and like what brand? We'll talk off air. Don't worry.
These are I have no problem plugging the company because these are the most comfortable headphones I've had. They're gaming headphones from Razer. And they were $60. They're actually not very expensive. So big time. Is he getting the pen and paper to look it up?
Oh no,
he's grabbing his headphones.
Yeah, so I mean, I like headphones. My wife got me these for gaming as well.
Are those HyperX?
Yeah, I like them. They're good. They I don't use them for the show because all the board work I do as the engineer of my show, I can't have that and then do the sounders and run. It goes into my head, but it's a pain in the ass. So I got awesome headphones. I don't even get to fucking use them. So,
well, if HyperX or Razer, you guys want to get at us for a sponsorship, I'll take the Razors off, throw on HyperX. We'll get everyone HyperX. Honestly. I love both brands personally. They put out some great stuff. I have Razer, Corsair, Logitech, HyperX, you name it. Any top gaming brand that's
gaming. Yeah, gaming. I'm a gamer too. So.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm rocking right here. All right. So to wrap up here, we have check out the newest Speakeasy episode. That's with Stepmom Lauren. The next one should be coming out next Tuesday, depending. That has an asterisk next to it, but it's going to be with Kira Wojtrowski. I still had to run that through my head to make sure I got her last name correct. And then this Friday, we have our newest Club Dynasty episode. It's going to be live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be with Shane Manila of Dynasty Trades HQ. And from the first show and friend of No Pun Intended, Tommy Garrett from PFN will also be joining the show. That'll be on YouTube as well, basically everywhere besides Twitch, essentially where you're watching right now. And next week, we will have, how do you follow up a great guest like Scott? You follow it up with one of the best new writers for the Fantasy Footballers, Casey Kasem of the Fantasy Footballers and Fighting Chance Fantasy. Super excited to get her on with us. She was obviously a part of our Women of Fantasy Football shows back in August, so we're happy to have her back on. Super excited to get her back on to talk some fantasy football with us. For the One Hudsonian, for the Fantasy 5, and for Nimble W Numbers, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. Tune in on Friday for Club Dynasty, Saturday for Starts at Different Day, and next week for No Pun Intended, Week 14, first week of the fantasy playoffs with the one, the only Casey Kasem of the Fantasy Footballers and Fighting Chance Fantasy. We will see you on Friday.